Hello and thank you for clicking on this video where I'll be sharing my experience on the 7Hz and Crinacle collaboration, the Salnotes Dioko. This item was purchased with my own money and this is based on my own personal experience and may not reflect what others may experience on their own. Just a quick introduction of this package. This is an IEM with a 14.6mm planar magnetic driver which is priced at $99, which is one of the cheapest planar IEM you can get today. I've already done an unboxing video of this item, so if you're curious to see what's in the box, click the link in the description below. Without further ado, let's talk about the accessories first. For $99, which translates to about 150 plus Australian dollars, you do get one of the biggest carrying case I've ever seen included in a package. To put into context, this is how it looks next to the Overhyped AF180 carrying case, and this thing already feels huge to me. So I guess that's a good thing if you want a carrying case big enough to fit at least 2 of your IEMs. It comes with a stock silicone tips which is quite sticky and a huge dust magnet and 6 additional interchangeable soft plastic-like feeling ear tips, which to be completely honest, feels really cheap and it just doesn't fit well. For me, I had to use the Ico's Obsidian OH10's ear tips to make the Dioko fit my ear a little better. Speaking of fit, the Salnotes Diokos are quite big, and because of its design as well, with not a lot of curves to sit in the grooves of your ears, it makes it quite hard, at least for me, to get a good seal. After a while I can feel it coming out of my ear and I find myself constantly having to push it back in. If it wasn't for the cable wrapping around my ear, I think I would have lost this piece of jewelry a long time ago. So I definitely advise for anyone to try this out first, either through a store or a friend before purchasing these, because it may not be a good fit for some, at least it wasn't for me. This thing looks like jewelry with its purple finish under a tempered glass material. If you don't have money for real jewelry to accessorize your ears, I guess this is the next best thing. If you're someone who likes to keep a low profile, like me, better look elsewhere because this IEM just screams, "Come check me out," and ask the owner of this ear why he or she is sticking a big purple oval in his or her ear. It's connected through a 0.78mm 2-pin cable, and the cable itself is as flashy as the IEMs themselves. But it's quite a nice cable. It behaves really well, doesn't tangle, and is thick enough to support the IEMs around the ear. I actually like the cable a lot more than other IEMs I've owned. So let's talk about the sound. For bass, it's there, it's clean, but it doesn't stomp. Imagine the difference between a step and a stomp. You can hear a step, but you can feel a stomp. That's what this IEM does to its bass. It's a step. If you've been following Crinacle's work, you know that he likes to bring up the sub bass on his tuning to give it that extra bit of fun into some of these IEMs, and you can hear it, but it's still not as pronounced. For the mid bass, it's there in detail but not in spirit. If you're looking for an IEM that can bring the power of a bass to a song, this IEM isn't it. For the mids, I guess this is where the strength lies with this IEM. Vocal seems to be positioned slightly in front of the instruments, making them the highlight of the music, but the overall presentation is right in the middle, as in it doesn't sound too forward and singers don't sound like they're shouting in your ear, and at the same time it's not too recessed where you're trying to focus on what they're singing. So not much to complain in this region, it's nice. For the treble, this IEM is a little bit bright for me, which can bring out clarity in some of your songs, but it can also backfire in some cases, which in this case, it does. I can be quite sensitive in the 9kHz region, and while it's not as piercing as the likes of Hyphamon's HE1000 V2s, that thing can sound like a spear into your ears. The Salnotes Dioko feels like the tip of the spear is just poking into your ear canals. It is definitely not as forgiving, but it's not as punishing as some IEMs can be. For soundstage and imaging, I don't see how soundstage would apply to an IEM because, to be honest, it doesn't get wide. And it's the same here. Good thing is that compared to some IEMs, things don't sound as forward, so I guess it gives you some sense of headspace. Imaging is surprisingly subpar for me, as I would typically expect much more clarity having that elevation of treble, but that's not what I got from my experience. Sure, when there's only a few instruments playing, you get that separation and things are clear and it sounds great and I can feel where things are placed. But when the track gets busy, it started to sound a little messy and jumbled up. For power, to get a sense of how much power it requires, hooking it up with my Hyphaman EF400, I'd have to turn the knob up to about 10 to 11 o'clock position for it to sound loud enough for my liking. In comparison, the Moondrop Blessing 2 would only need to be in about 8 to 9 o'clock position to reach the same level of loudness. However, my phone seems to be able to power it enough to get a decent level of loudness. Hooking it up with the Asus ROG Phone 5S, I still have about 2 more levels to go, so it's about 80% of the volume, and at this point the other 2 levels would probably make me deaf. In comparison, the Mood Drop Blessing 2 would be at about 60% to reach the same loudness levels. The other 4 levels would most definitely make me deaf. In terms of difference in details between a phone and the EF400, to be honest, for my untrained ears, it was really hard to tell the difference. There was probably little to no difference, and if any, the IEM just sounds a little clearer on the amp DAC, but I'd really have to focus very hard to catch that, and if I was doing a blind test, I probably wouldn't be able to catch that, to be very honest. So just making a quick comparison with one of my daily drivers, the Wrapped Go Hook X, which is another planar IEM, but it also has a piezoelectric driver, and it costs about $140 more than this IEM. But that's the only planar I have, so let's compare. The Wrapped Go Hook X rumbles and hits a little harder and deeper than the Dioko, and the treble on the Wrapped Go Hook X is a lot more forgiving, which is pleasing to my ears, but the Dioko is just slightly clearer and cleaner in the details. In terms of fit, they both have some issues due to their bulk, but the Dioko is a lot harder in terms of getting a right seal, which as of recording this video, I'm still having a hard time getting used to it. At the end of the day, I still find myself taking these off and grabbing the Wrapped Go Hook X instead. So in summary, I was on board the hype train, but upon reaching my destination, I was left just a little bit disappointed. There's a reason why everyone keeps calling this the best budget planar IEM, because it is. It is by far the cheapest planar magnetic IEM in the market today, and it is a great introduction to what planar magnetic IEMs can sound like. But it does leave you wanting more. At least it did for me. Plus, the look and fit may not appeal to everyone, and it's one of those things where I'd highly advise that you test it out first before purchasing it, just to be sure that you're content with the sound and the fit suits you. Otherwise, I'd save a little bit more and look at other options. That's been my experience with the 7Hz Salnotes Dioko. I hope you found this video a little informative. Any feedback to help improve the content would be very much appreciated. If you did enjoy this video, do consider hitting the like and subscribe button and share with me your experiences with the Dioko if you have any. I definitely have more reviews to come in the future, so I hope you all stay tuned. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope all of you have a great week. Take care.